Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Texas Lottery Commission to order. Today is April the 18th. It is 10 a.m. We have all of our commissioners here. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Okay. Again, good morning, everyone. Grateful to see a room full of all sorts of important people and folks who are interested in what we're doing here with our Texas Lottery and bingo. We are going to go into, the commissioners are going to go into executive session for a few minutes, and we will return here shortly. So we will go into executive session. Bob, is there anything else that needs to be said?
Just to announce that it'll be for the purpose of deliberating personnel and receiving legal advice. Time is 10:03.
Okay. We are adjourned here temporarily. All righty. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to us. We are out of executive session where we were discussing personnel matters. Does anyone have anything they would like to say? From the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that the commission appoint Ryan Mindell to the position of executive director at the annual salary amount for the executive director set forth in the commission's bill pattern in the current General Appropriations Act, effective today, April 18th, 2024.
We have a second.
Second.
Mark seconds. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, where's Ryan?
Thank you, commissioners. I just had a quick brief statement I'd like to make. I just wanted to express very briefly how humbled I am. You know, this is a very big responsibility. And so I take very seriously the trust that each of you are showing in me. Also, ultimately, the trust that staff, our vendor partners, and the public have to have in this position. So, you know, these are very big shoes to fill, but I know that we have the best team of any lottery in the world. I'll never be shy about saying that. And it's just an amazing place to work, and one that I'm very, very honored to lead. So thank you very much.
Ryan, thank you. Commissioners, thoughts to Ryan, please. Jamie, go first.
Congratulations, Ryan. I'd speak for all of us as they were lucky to have you and appreciate you stepping into the position. Thank you.
Ryan, congratulations. We're confident you're going to do fantastic in your job. Told you this before, but the next 4 to 5 years at this agency are the most important that this agency will ever have, and how we get through that next couple of legislative sessions and implementations is going to be incredibly impactful, obviously for the 5 of us, more importantly, the state of Texas, and for all of the folks that you're going to be working with and shepherding through everything. So we know you'll take it very seriously, and we're excited to be seeing how it goes.
First of all, I want to thank you for the smooth transition that you've carried on here and just keeping things running. You're right. Big shoes to fill. You're there a long time. Thankful you got a number of years working with him and to see this. And from all I hear, the response from staff and certainly from us has been great. So we're thankful for that time, and actually thankful for having now had that time still continued to want to do this job. So. Oh,
I don't think I have anything to add to any of that. Congratulations. We're glad to have you. You have us if you need help with anything. So thanks for doing this.
Ryan, on behalf of all of our commission, we are incredibly grateful that this is a role and responsibility that you have chosen to take on. It's a tremendous assignment. Your career path to this day has been one that has been very methodical, very deliberate. Your commitment to every role that you've had has been just exemplary. This process for Ryan to be here before us today is one that, our role as commission took very seriously. And we had literally a national search, as the executive director of the Texas Lottery is, the most coveted executive director position for lottery in the nation. And with the size and scope of what we have before us, our history, there was tremendous interest in this position. So the search that was conducted, the individuals that wanted that role were equally substantial. But Ryan was heads and tails over all others. And these last several weeks that since Gary announced his departure, Ryan has stepped in, done a tremendous role, and we're collectively very excited. So Ryan, we know that you have a lot before you, and whatever we can do to help collectively, we are grateful for that. Cindy, Commissioner Fields made the motion to bring you on. It is an honor to make that announcement from the commission, and it's one that all the commissioners would have liked to have made that motion. And Cindy did a tremendous job coordinating this endeavor, working with Jan and Bob and our team to ensure that the executive director position was appointed properly, and went through a lot of just a lot of hard work to get there. So Cindy, we're very grateful to you for all of the work that you've done and have brought us such a tremendous qualified candidate, and who is now our new executive director. So with that, Ryan, just congratulations, and we're super excited that you're here. So thank you, Ryan.
Thank you again.
Okay, all right. On with the regularly scheduled program. First item is going to be a report from the Bingo Advisory Committee. Trace Smith, you have the floor.
Morning, Commissioners, Bingo Chairman Cindy Fields and Chairman Rivera. Thank you all. The BAC has been very busy for the past few months. First, I had a meeting with Commissioner Fields, LaDonna, and staff to discuss future applications and the process. Possibly Commissioner Fields will comment on that at a later time today. So there's that. The BAC met with staff and the industry to go through the rules review process. I can report that we are currently reviewing all of the suggestions and recommendations, and we'll be meeting with staff and industry to help finalize those rule suggestions. In this meeting, we reviewed every single section in the administrative rules. This meeting took about 3.5 hours. So we would like to thank LaDonna and her staff for their patience and their hard work during that meeting. The following day, the Bingo Advisory Committee met and discussed the rule review, and we'll be putting the rule review on the next BAC agenda. The last thing is the Bingo Advisory Committee asked the commissioners to reopen the nomination or application process for a public member so that staff can start the process of acquiring applicants to review and hopefully have a public member to select by the August meeting of the Bingo Advisory Committee.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
Okay, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
LaDonna, do you have any, before we open up for commissioners, LaDonna, do you have any comments?
Yes, so to follow up on Trace's remarks about the February 13th meeting, following the last commission meeting, Commissioner Fields called us into a meeting, Trace, Tyler, and I, to discuss BAC nomination process and changes to ensure that the commissioners have the opportunity and time to review and interview nominees as required by Rule 402.102E. The result of the meeting is that after staff has verified nominee eligibility, I will send each of you an email, including that nomination form and some information about when the nomination period will end. When I send you the last form, I will send you a completed list of nominations so you'll know you've got them all. And that's all I've got on that one. I can follow up on the rule review also. So it was a great meeting, very productive. About 2 weeks before the meeting, staff sent the subcommittee members a red line draft of Chapter 402, including those changes identified by staff. Also before the meeting, Texas Charity Advocates, the Bingo Interest Group, and Texans for Charitable Bingo shared written information, including comments and topics for discussion. I believe that timely exchange of information in advance of the meeting was very helpful for our discussions. The discussion was very productive, at times pretty lively, and very much appreciated. There were a few issues revealed that we are still considering, and I've got a short list here. I can just give you some highlights. One is about the BAC, various issues, including its competition and the appointment process. The reduction or repeal of the current requirement of a minimum payout of 65% for pull tabs. Allowing the online sale of gift certificates, setting a minimum price for electronic card minders, and also regulatory requirements for non-regular conductors. Like I said, we're continuing to discuss those topics and more. The next steps will include my discussion with staff about a couple of other outstanding issues and preparing a newer red line draft to share with the subcommittee, including some of the changes and corrections identified during the meeting. And that concludes my remarks on this item.
Okay, LaDonna, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
I have a quick comment. The BAC is up for renewal in August. And given the time frame that we need to be able to have the department vet the candidates, post the positions of actually all 9 of the BAC members, then I would like, if possible, to direct LaDonna to start the process to do that, so that there's plenty of time to get in all the applications that we hope we get, and for any commissioners that would like to review the applicants and interview them if possible, and for the BAC to also weigh in on that as well.
Okay, thank you. Cindy, commissioners, any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to. Trace and LaDonna, thanks so much. I'm very glad that you guys are going through the rule review. It's obviously an enormously important part of what we do as a commission is to vet and update rules. A lot of very important policy decisions to be made, and we obviously want to see y'all's recommendations. I want to just point out how glad I am that y'all are looking through some of the logistics of operating the committee, and in particular, items like you can examine what sort of a quorum would be necessary to hold a meeting, and being able to hold remote meetings, right? I know it's just difficult in a state as big as ours with a geographically diverse committee. Maybe you consider thinking about ways where you can, formally hold a meeting while allowing people to, Zoom in remotely, or even if you can have meetings around the state, right? I think it could speak a lot to having if you have a geographically diverse committee with geographically diverse applicant pool to be able to meet in other places besides, state office here in Austin. So I'm very glad what y'all are doing, and just a couple suggestions to make the flow and the operations of the commission or the committee even easier.
Thank you. And that is on the agenda as well during the review to look at that and open that up.
And actually, on those lines, I've been able to attend, I think, all but one of the VAC meetings in the last couple of years anyway. And I either remotely or in person, and being able to participate remotely has worked very well, I thought. So I think it will open up the candidate applicants to people that can't always make it to Austin, Texas.
LaDonna and her staff have made it very good for anybody that can't make it to dial in remotely through Zoom or some other access number. So that has helped. We've had members that couldn't make it for one reason or another, so they were able to attend the meeting. So yes, absolutely, I agree.
Commissioners, any other discussion? Okay, Trace, LaDonna, thank you very much. Next item is our bingo financial report. LaDonna, you're up.
Thank you. For the record, LaDonna Castañuela, Director. The commission. Is in your notebook materials and includes the required information for calendar years 2022 and 2023.
Aye. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, there's one other thing that I would like to bring up that LaDonna didn't, that I would actually like her to report on. And it's the charitable bingo survey of employee engagement, which in a world full of bad news is good news. So if you could, just to give some color to it, this agency had 8 directors before LaDonna in about as many years. And in my weekly phone calls with the previous director and with Tyler Vance, who served as interim before LaDonna, it became apparent to me that the employees felt kind of overlooked and underappreciated. And LaDonna came along, and shortly after that, there was a survey of employee engagement that didn't come out so well. It was actually, Jan didn't really want to show it to her. She was brand new. But now we have good news. So if maybe you could go through some of the scores, just a sense of how it came out.
Yes, thank you. So I just have a little short summary. We did receive the survey results last week, and they do show a marked increase in scores and staff engagement since the last survey in 2022, just a few months into my tenure. I've not completed a thorough analysis. Keep in mind that they say that a 350 or above is desirable, and less than 300 is a cause for concern. In 2022, our score was square in the average area. It was 336. And this, a few months ago, when the survey was sent again, the new score is 387, well into the desirable range for the division. The percentage of division employees who were identified as highly engaged or moderately engaged. In 2022, we had 34%, and now in 2024, we have 50%. So also a nice increase. The staff's response scores increased in every area identified in the survey, except for benefits, an area that we can't have any control over anyway. I'm very proud of the work we've done in the division since I got here 32 months ago. And I believe our survey results, especially when compared to previous results, confirm that we are headed in the right direction. Thank you very much, Commissioner Fields.
Trophy for most improved.
Thank you.
Donna, thank you. You know, what bingo has gone through over the last several years since I've been a commissioner has been night and day. You know, years ago when I was first appointed, literally our commissioners were spending more time on bingo, it seemed, than anything else in terms of having to meet, to hire people to visit about, you know, the director's responsibilities and lack of responsibilities being taken seriously, just from a variety of issues. And so from the day, LaDonna, that you've been here, I know collectively that we've all slept better, knowing that you're there at the helm, leading the division, and just great to hear Cindy's comments and yours as well on the immediate, you know, just improvements that have come through since you've been there at the helm. So LaDonna, we're very grateful that you're there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is a report on the internal audit contract and scratch tickets. Angela, this is your item.
Good morning, Commissioners. First, if I may, I'd like to say congratulations to Ryan. And I know that he's going to do a great job leading the agency into the future. For the record, my name is Angela Skyby-Sagarba, the Director of Administration. Item 4 in your notebook contains an action item relating to the contract for internal audit services. Staff is seeking Commission's approval to extend our current contract with McConnell Jones Internal Audit Services for the third and last one-year renewal period. It will begin September 1st, 2024 and end August 31st, 2025. As an audit contract, the lottery must also receive delegation of services on this contract from the State Auditor's Office, which it has historically approved. Commissioners have independently confirmed they have no financial interest in McConnell Jones. The second item under number 4 is for the scratch ticket contracts. In your notebook, this is a briefing item to advise you that staff's intent is to end the 3 2022 scratch ticket printing contracts with Scientific Gains, IGT Global Solutions, and Pollard Banknote. The purpose of these amendments is to modify respective pricing sheets to include additional add-on features, product quantities, and ticket sizes. You have also confirmed that you have no financial interest in these 3 entities. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I do need a vote on.
Sure. Okay, Angela, thank you. Commissioners, any discussion? Is there any motions?
I'll move that we approve the extension of the internal audit services contract.
Okay. Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. So thank you very much. Good job. Next item is a report on lottery operations. Angela, still your item.
Item 5 in your notebooks is a briefing item. As you may recall, in October of 2023, I requested approval to issue the upcoming lottery operations and services procurement, which you approved. This is an interim status to let you know how the procurement is progressing. And on April 2nd, the Texas Lottery posted the 2-month pre-solicitation notice as required for solicitations that exceed $20 million on the Electronic State Business Daily and the Texas Lottery's website. This notice expires June 2nd. The procurement is still on track for an early summer issuance, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any question? Discussion? No? Okay, Angela, thank you so much. All righty, before we go to item 6, Ryan, I mean, you can sit anywhere that you would like, but if you would like to take that seat. All righty. Next item is the Minority Business Participation Report. Eric Williams, your item.
morning, Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Eric Williams, and I am the coordinator of the Lottery Commission's historically underutilized business program, or the HUB program. As you're aware, the HUB program is a statewide initiative that provides assistance and contracting opportunities with minorities, women, and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. At the beginning of each fiscal year, the agency sets its annual internal HUB goals as required by the controller's rules. This year's goals and a set of the summary reports were sent to you last fall. A copy of the agency's finalized fiscal year 2023 Minority Business Participation Report is included in your notebooks. This is an annual report, which is required by Section 466.107 of the State Lottery Act and must be made available to the governor, lieutenant governor, speaker of the House, and members of the legislature. The report documents minority and HUB participation in our agency's contracting activity and includes information on the number of licensed minority retailers. During fiscal year 2023, the agency achieved an overall participation rate of 9.63% in its minority HUB contracting activity, which represents a decrease from our fiscal year 22's performance of 10.66%. Of the 22 largest spending state agencies and universities in fiscal year 23, the Lottery Commission ranked 16th overall HUB percentage. During the reporting period, the agency also had 8,707 minority retailers, which represented 41.41% of the Texas Lottery's total retailer base. I will be happy to answer any questions regarding this report at this time.
Okay, commissioners, any discussion? Okay.
Yes, sir. This is an action item. Staff recommends your approval of the fiscal year 23 Minority Business Participation Report. Once the report, or if the report is approved, we'll post it on the agency's website, and Mr. Dino will notify the legislative offices of its availability.
Is there a motion to approve the report?
Move to approve.
For a second? I'll second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All righty, next item, report on lottery sales and revenue, Sergio and Will.
Morning. For the record, my name is Sergio Rey, controller of the Texas Lottery. This morning, Will Russ, products manager, and I will provide the following update on the sales through the week ending April 6, 2024. At the 32nd week mark of fiscal year 2024, total sales have reached $5.16 billion. This is a 2.6% decrease from this time last year. The delta from last year's total is now $138 million, primarily from the high jackpot sales since our last meeting. As you can see on the chart, the draw sales in the last 10 weeks had a big boost, and year-to-date sales are at $1.16 billion. This is slightly under the sales this time last year at approximately $40.6 million less. Well, scratch sales benefited from the jackpot traffic and new games which were introduced, which we'll be discussing more details shortly. Sales are still lower than last year by approximately $97 million, but the gap is closing down to a 2.38% margin. Now, this is the revenue perspective through week 32. In the next slide, we will provide the specifics from the game performance perspective.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Will Russ, the products manager, and we'll be giving a more detailed view of the sales that Sergio just reported on. But first, I'd like to congratulate Ryan for a well-deserved job. If we look at this slide at the bottom right corner, you can see the year-over-year decline of about 138 million or 2.61%. The good news here is that when I last reported on our sales, the deficit was almost 248 million. As you can see, we have made up some ground over the last 2 months. The categories we are behind in remain the same: the national draw game Mega Millions, and then also our scratch ticket sales. At our last meeting, the Mega Millions deficit was about 102 million. The roll the game was on then continued until March 26th, when it hit 1.13 billion. During the roll, sales were positive, and that's why we started to close the gap and reduce the deficit to about 63 million when you include the add-on feature Megaplier. Our luck since the last meeting has also extended to Powerball. The roll occurring during the last meeting continued until April 6th with a $1.3 billion jackpot. With that run, Powerball sales are now positive year over year by about 33 million. Draw game sales were positive year over year for the second half of February and all of March, and we know that the jackpot runs on the national games were contributing factors. This is great news, but we do still have tough comp weeks ahead because Powerball and Mega Millions both had high jackpots last summer. The in-state draw game Lotto Texas is down a slight 18 million, but we're currently experiencing our toughest comp weeks because the jackpot hit 95 million last April. Finally, Texas Two-Step is slightly down, but our draw game marketing efforts are currently focused on promoting this game. In the middle of the slide in blue are the daily games, and there's good news to report here as well. Pick 3 has remained relatively flat. Daily 4, Cash 5, and All or Nothing are all slightly up. We remain encouraged by Pick 3's sales because there have been declines over the years with players of that game moving to Daily 4. At our last meeting, the draw games portion of the portfolio was down about 157 million. Largely because of the jackpot runs on the national games, we have reduced that number to about 40 million or 3.38%. You can see that number in orange towards the bottom of the slide. As Sergio mentioned, scratch sales are down about 97 million or 2.38%. That percentage has remained fairly constant through the fiscal year, but there are some exciting launches in May and over the summer that could potentially close this gap. At our last meeting, I included a sample of the most recent $100 ticket. That game launched in early February and has been one of the top selling games since. The Scratch team is pleased with our decision to add that game to the launch schedule. With that, I'll wrap up. Sergio and I are available for any questions.
Commissioners, any discussion?
Thank you so much.
Well, Sergio, we know that when you come and present, does someone have control over the lights? Thank you. We know that the numbers that you provide are simply, numbers that are there, right? And so we know that you don't create these numbers and that y'all are doing the best that you can with what is presented. So just we're grateful for that. So just continue to come and summarize whatever those numbers are. And you guys are doing a good job. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Next item is a report on transfers to the state and agency's budget. Sergio, you're there.
Good morning. Again, in this agenda item, I will provide a high-level summary of the accrued revenues and transfers through February 29th, 2024. This is item number 8 in your meeting notebooks. Our accrued revenue transfers to the state have totaled $868.3 million for the first half of fiscal year 2024. The Foundation School Fund has received $812.3 million. The Texas Veterans Commission receiving that would be great, but it's $11.4 million. and the remaining $44.6 million are transfers from unclaimed prizes. In total, Texas Lottery has transferred $32.6 billion to the state for education, $235 million for Texas veterans. Second part of this item is a budget summary of the second quarter of fiscal year 2024, which ended again February 29th. We're in the middle of the fiscal year, and at this point, our financial activities remain consistent with prior years. The lottery account budget has expenditures and commitments for the year totaling $248 million, which is 77.6% of the budget. The bingo operations budget has $2 million in expenditure and commitments for the rest of the year, representing 91.6% of its budget. The Office of the Controller, along with the division directors, continue monitoring the agency's budget and are already preparing for next fiscal year. This summer, we will be presenting our fiscal year 2025 operating budget for your approval. Commissioners, this concludes my presentations. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, Sergio, thank you. Commissioners, any discussion?
Oh, thanks, sir.
Okay, Sergio, good job on that. And you will remain and visit with us regarding the report on agency's strategic plan.
That's correct. Commissioners, not only we're talking 2024, we're moving on to 2025, but we are now also at the start of the legislative budget process for fiscal years 2026, 2027. Since our last meeting, the agency has received instructions from the Legislative Budget Board and the Office of the Governor Budget and Policy Division for the completion of the strategic plan for years 2025 through 2029. This is to fulfill the requirements of Texas Government Code Chapter 2056, and the strategic plan is the formal document for state agencies to communicate its goals, directions, and outcomes to our oversight agencies, stakeholders, and the public. The strategic plan sets the tone for the agency's request for the legislative sessions to come, foremost the 89th legislative session this spring. Since the document is due prior to our next meeting, specifically June 1st, I would like to provide an overview of the 2025-2029 strategic plan as recommended by staff and executive management. The strategic plan begins with our agency mission, vision, mission, and core values. It then has essentially three major components. The agency's goals and action plan, also identifies redundancies and impediments, and has additional supplemental schedules that provide information about the agency or day-to-day operational plans. The main section, Agency Goals and Action Plan, emphasizes the agency's outlook to ensure it meets the mission envisioned by its enabling statutes. The agency's strategic plan will continue its focus on these major goals: increase gross sales and net revenue efficiently and responsibly, offer a good product mix and gem portfolio that provides the best entertainment experience through responsible management, sustain and strategic retailer distribution channel development, efficient and appropriate lottery game promotion, expenditures, and education, optimize the retailer's cash incentive program, increase effectiveness and efficiencies of bingo operations to ensure proper oversight, education, and enforcement, and finally, planning for a secure, safe, and cost-effective information technology infrastructure. In the next section, the focus on redundancies and impediments is to identify services, statutes, rules, or regulations which, over time, have had an impact to the agency's effectiveness and efficiencies to achieve its mission. The agency has identified the following as impediments: the lottery courier services, bingo division staff salaries, and technology infrastructure for the charitable bingo division. For the last section, the supplemental schedules are either informational in nature or provide goals, for meeting other statutory requirements. The schedules are the agency's budget structure, information on performance measures and its overview, historically underutilized business plan information and goals, the agency's workforce plan, and customer service report, and a new cybersecurity training compliance certification. On a final note, as noted earlier, the final document is due on or before June the 1st, and much like our other LBB submissions, this will route for signature to our new executive director and to our commission chair prior to submitting it to our oversight agencies. Commissioners, we are at the beginning steps of the upcoming legislative process. Information from the plan will translate or support items in our 26-27 legislative appropriation request, which you will also see later this summer. I am available for any questions you may have today and as well as in the coming weeks as we complete this process. This completes my presentation.
Okay, Sergio, thank you very much. Commissioners, any discussion? Sergio, thank you for your thoroughness, and obviously you have a big role and responsibility, and we have a lot to continue to do, and we're grateful for your participation and just making sure that things are moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is report on agency sunset review process. Ryan, your item.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Again, for the record, my name is Ryan Mindell. I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Letter. I have a brief update for you on the ongoing sunset review process. We do believe we are at the very end of the staff review process. So we've responded to over 100 information requests, providing a voluminous set of data to Sunset staff. And we've had numerous meetings between our staff and Sunset staff. At this point, Sunset staff are drafting their report, and we expect that to be made available to the public in early May. And just as a reminder, after that, the Sunset Advisory Commission will hold 2 public meetings. The first to take comment from Sunset staff, agency staff, and the public. And then the second as a decision meeting to consider adopting the recommendations based on the report and the comment they received. These recommendations will make their way into a sunset bill that will be introduced in the 2025 legislative session. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the process so far.
Commissioners, any discussion?
I know you can't speak definitively, but what's your kind of gut on the timeline for, you say the early May for the report release, then kind of the rest of those items, when do you think those happen?
Sure. You know, of course, the Sunset Advisory Commission is not fully constituted right now. There are a number of House members still on going through runoffs, and then there's some Senate members that still need to be appointed. So I think that's going to be the first step to determine the calendar. But if they were able to make those appointments and have the board fully constituted, I would expect the first hearing to be in June or July, and the second hearing to be later, perhaps August or September.
Any other discussion items? Ryan, thank you. You and all from staff that have participated. Obviously, this is an incredibly important process, and our transparency and ability to effectively communicate is incredibly important. So we're grateful for your stewardship through this important endeavor. So Ryan and the rest of staff that is helping with this, thank you. Okay, next item is our internal auditor's report. Darlene, you're right.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your continued support in our contract. We greatly appreciate it. I have a quick briefing for you today. My name is Darlene Brown, the internal auditor for the agency, for the record. We've recently completed an internal audit of the scratch ticket contracts. And this is part of the overall contracting and procurement audit that we will be performing later. We concluded that the procurement of these and the contracting activities for the 3 scratch ticket vendors, they follow the internal policies and procedures, and which align with the state contracting guidelines. Also, I want to commend the staff for keeping the documentation in such an orderly manner. It was very easy to complete this audit, and anybody that from the external entities, if they ever wanted to audit these contracts, they could look at our work, and they could also look at what the lottery staff not have any issues with it. We had no findings to report on that contract. We're also in the process of auditing the agency's legislative change management processes. This audit focuses on what controls are in place and the processes to ensure that any new or proposed legislation is identified, tracked, and monitored and implemented. We anticipate that we will be able to report on the outcomes of this audit at the next commission meeting. So that concludes my report for today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, commissioners, any discussion?
Done for you, Darlene.
Okay, Darlene, great job as always. Thank you. All righty, next item is our bingo director's report. Donna, your item.
Hello again, LaDonna Castañuela, Director, Charitable Bingo Operations. Since the February commission meeting, we've been very, very busy in the division with Sunset, including many of those previously mentioned 100 requests made to the agency and meeting requests, and also, of course, the rule review, also previously mentioned. As usual, in your notebook materials, you've got the division's output metrics for the last 2 months, February and March. I also want to let you know that we've recently received a request for a bingo advisory opinion regarding a matter that was raised during the rule review. The request is about a distributor's ability to take back bingo equipment or supplies, including pull tabs. We received the request on Monday, and per our rule, the advisory opinion is due to be issued in 60 days or within 60 days, which would be June 14th. This is the third bingo advisory request, opinion request that we've received this fiscal year. In November, we received one from a licensed manufacturer about distributor logos and trademarks on pull tabs. And then the final request received, I think in December, was filled out by someone whose eligibility we could not confirm with information provided. And when we reached out, we did not get any responses. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, I'm available. Thank you.
Okay.
Just, you mentioned that June 14th is at 60 days. So you anticipate
From Monday.
right. So you anticipate that the commission will see that advisory opinion or the response on that at the next meeting?
Generally.
Problems.
Okay, Bob, but I had not looked at it. June 6th. So the next meeting there should be time.
Thanks.
Commissioners, any other discussion? Cindy?
Not here. Thank you.
Okay. LaDonna, thank you very much. Good job. Next item is the Deputy Executive Director's report. Ryan, your item.
Thank you. Again, for the record, my name is Ryan Mendel, Executive Director. I do have a few updates for you today. First, as you heard about bingo rule review, legal services is working with lottery operations, IT, and other agency staff to review the commission's lottery rules under chapters 401, the administration of the State Lottery Act, and 403, general administration. So that process is still ongoing. We do anticipate bringing orders summarizing the results of that review and readopting the existing rules to the board later this year. The actual rule amendments will then be proposed at a subsequent commission meeting. So just to give you a high-level overview of what we've seen so far, there are multiple non-substantive updates to clarify rule language. We have identified some potential substantive amendments. That includes making it an express violation to require a purchaser to buy additional items when paying with lottery tickets for debit cards, making it an express violation for retailers to refuse to cooperate with a lottery investigation under the State Lottery Act, making sure that definitions and references to in-lane sales refer to both draw games and scratch ticket games, which are both now being sold in-lane, and amending the lottery security rule to delete references to the security division, specify that our IT division is responsible for developing and maintaining security plans and procedures involving the computer network and cybersecurity. We've identified no potential changes to the general administration rules in Chapter 403 so far. Second, as you also heard, I think from Commissioner Fields and LaDonna, we did receive the agency results of the survey employee engagement. Now, that survey is performed by the Institute for Organizational Excellence at the University of Texas at Austin, where it surveys about 250,000 Texas state employees every 2 years to better understand the employees' level of engagement with the mission of the agency. To start up to share the results, I just want to say that it was amazing. We had over 91% of agency staff respond to the survey. And, even the UT group says that, over 50% response rate is good. So obviously our response rate of 91.7% is exceedingly high. It shows that we can really rely on the results of that survey. For the overall score, you heard that, 350 is kind of desirable, below 300 is a cause for concern. I'm very happy to report that the agency's overall score was 425. That's the highest it's ever been at the Texas Lottery. I'm very confident that compares favorably with any state agency of comparable size. Numbers like those, it can be hard to find improvement, but I think as you heard, we had a number of divisions show an increase since the last survey last year, led by the bingo division, the overall score that improved by 51 points. So overall, we're very pleased with the results of the survey. There's obviously always room for improvement. So division directors are currently reviewing the results of those in detail to understand the feedback that staff took valuable time to give us. And that with potential improvement in mind, I wanted to share a couple of recent reviews of the agency. First, the State Office of Risk Management completed its Risk Management Program Review Report of the agency. Now, this review covers 4 fiscal years and ultimately received a very favorable report with only 2 recommendations to review our insurance coverage. I'll quote directly from the SORM reviewer here in her email to me. Quote, "You and your team should be commended for the efforts to eliminate risk exposures and maintain a high level of safety for all Texas Lottery Commission employees." We weren't busy enough. We also completed the State Auditor's Office's statutorily required contract monitoring assessment. So SAO is required by statute to assign contract monitoring ratings to each of the 25 largest state agencies as determined by the Legislative Budget Board. And again, I'm very pleased after a detailed review, the state auditor assigned our agency a rating of no additional monitoring warranted. And that was across all areas: contract solicitation development, contract formation and award, and contract management and termination. So all that work goes back to what I believe. This is the best run state lottery in the country. I have some additional news to back that up. You heard from Will and Sergio about our sales results, but I did want to share that, for the month of March, Texas had the highest scratch ticket sales in the country. Now, every state lottery across the country is seeing ups and downs in its draw sales based on jackpot totals. We had some really hard jackpot comps year over year, but most large states are also seeing large declines in their scratch ticket sales. Our scratch ticket program, thanks to the dedicated work across the agency, is showing more resilience than most. Since the beginning of our fiscal year, Texas has kept its second place position among all lotteries in the country in scratch sales, and we're now pulled to within half a percentage point behind first place. So thank you, commissioners. That's all I have to report.
Commissioners, any comments?
All good news. Thanks, Ryan.
Brian, thank you. Tremendous, and just we're again excited about you taking the helm, and excited about just all the years ahead of you there in that role. So again, congratulations, and extremely happy. Next item is an item that I've asked to be placed on the agenda to discuss appointing commissioners for subcommittees. The focus would be 2 commissioners on subcommittees in the key areas of legal, audit, and planning. The audit committee would work with the commission's internal auditor to review ongoing agency audits, as well as risk analysis for upcoming audits. In addition, the subcommittee would work with Bingo to identify audit issues and risk analysis to be implemented in the future for Bingo licensees. Next is the legal subcommittee would work with general counsel and senior management to identify areas of the agency's authority where regulated entities and public would benefit from additional clarity and detail on the commission's rulemaking and policies. Finally, the planning subcommittee would provide input to the executive director, the Bingo director, and senior agency management staff to discuss our strategic planning, comprehensive business plan, and the legislative appropriations request. So clearly, all three of these are significant and important. The committees, again, would be made up of two commissioners, and collectively, everything that we do from our body here as commissioners comes from the collective five. So although everyone, we would love to have all five serve on all three committees, again, we're going to go with two. I would suggest starting with audit, and hopefully if there's members that would like to serve on something, but I'll kind of put this out there. So for audit, Cindy and Jamie. For legal, myself, and we are very fortunate to have the legal expertise of Clark here to my right. So I think Clark would be a natural fit. And then for the planning subcommittee, Mark and Jamie. So Jamie is kind of short stick and will have to serve on two. But I think that is a responsibility that you could handle. So with that, commissioners, are there any discussion?
I have a comment. I served 2 terms on the Finance Commission of Texas underneath Governor Rick Perry, and during those 2 terms served as audit committee chair. And having had that experience, I think these subcommittees will work very well and give the staff kind of an outside perspective and give the commissioners an inside perspective. So I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, I would just agree that having this is essentially formalizing kind of how we've done business up to now. And I think that's a great next step. We've all worked in 1s and 2s with staff on each of these items over time, and kind of now formalizing that and a way to bring that back to the full commission, I think is a great idea. So thanks, Chairman.
Agreed. I'm excited. I'm a great big legal nerd, so this is right up my alley.
Good. Jamie,
I agree as well. Thanks, Robert, and happy to serve. And I think this will be beneficial for the commission and the agency. So thank you.
All right. So with that, we need a motion.
I'll move for the creation of the 3 subcommittees as laid out by the chairman and the membership as well.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Good job. Well, clearly, collectively, to all here in the room and all of our employees across the state, our commission are super excited about a little more strategic involvement throughout. And again, collectively, decisions will be made regardless of who serves on the subcommittee. So, okay, next item are our enforcement cases. Bob, your item.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, I'm Bob Beard, General Counsel. Item 15 contains 13 cases. They're all lottery cases, tabs A through M. These are cases where a lottery licensee has violated a statute or rule. And in most of these cases, the respondent fails to appear at the hearing and it proceeds by default. The staff and the respondent reach a settlement in the form of an agreed order. We have both of these types of cases today, as well as one case that was litigated at the State Office of Administrative Hearings, which we refer to as SOA. Tabs A through G are all non-sufficient fund lottery retailer license revocations handled in a single order. Each case was presented at SOA for revocation of the retailer license because the licensee failed to have sufficient funds in their bank account to cover electronic fund transfers to the commission. In each case, the licensee failed to appear, and the judge remanded the case to the commission to handle as a default matter. Tabs H through L are lottery agreed orders. 3 of these cases are debit card cases, similar to what you've seen before, where a retailer charged an additional fee to a customer who is purchasing lottery tickets with a debit card, which is not allowed. And 2 of these cases involved a retailer's employee purchasing a winning ticket from a customer and claiming it as their own. And the final case, tab M, that's the litigated case. It was also a non-sufficient fund case where the retailer did appear and wanted to have a hearing. In that case, the judge is required to issue a proposal for decision recommending commission action, and the judge recommended revocation in that case, and so does the staff. All the materials for these cases are in your notebook, and you can handle them all in a single vote if you like. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any discussion? Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, good job, Bob. Good job, everyone. Is there any other items anyone would like to discuss? Okay. Hearing none, we are adjourned.